Good morning, beautiful being. Here you are, here I am. And it's lovely to be with you inside out of the gale. It's still blowing and I'm just grateful to be here. I love Wellington on any day, even when the wind is like it is. So we're inside with the rocks, and we're going to start with this. Good morning, Andrew. And some people look at this and think it looks a little bit like the Earth, and it does. I mean, that's sort of like, the Americas, right? In another timeline. But it's beautiful. Obviously, this is sea jasper. And it's a very dark green. I don't know how well you can see the colour. Good morning, Jen. Good morning, everybody. I don't know who you all are, but it's lovely to have you with us. So, it's just got all the beautiful detail of sea jasper. And, that's a little rough spot. There's actually little caves on it. Good morning, Sang Marie. Or good evening for you on the other side of the world. And it's just a lovely thing. I'm really fond of this one. I haven't shown it off for a little while. So, I believe it's called sea jasper. It does look like a planet. Good morning, Heather. I believe it's called sea jasper because there's some place under the water where this is found. That's all I know, but it's lovely. And it's wonderful to have you all jumping on with me. Look, that side's, pretending to be mostly white. It's actually a creamy colour with little sort of slightly tan colours in the centre. If you look carefully. Yeah, see, these dots are sort of browny tan colour. So, that's the sea jasper. Today they're all little small rocks. This is yellow calcite. Little tumbled pebble, of which I'm very fond. And, yellow, but it's the softest, loveliest yellow, right? It's not a screamy yellow, it's beautiful. And obviously it's tumbled, so it's polished. And it just wanted to say hello today. Something else exquisite and tumbled is this little piece of rose quartz. We had big rose quartz the other day. Now we have little bits, but look, it's got this beautiful line through it, as rose quartz tends to do. Good morning, Laura. Good morning, Eric, because I know you're really far away. And it's just pink, and it's beautiful and translucent, and I love being able to show these things off and share them with you. Last but not least, this is a piece of angel glass. It's not a real stone, it is a manufactured stone, but isn't it pretty? That's all I can say. I mean, it reminds you of feldspar, moonstone, but it is actually angel glass and it's manufactured, and it's just beautiful the way it, it takes the light and makes it sort of blue and luminous, and it's lovely. So, jawbreaker, yeah, that'd be right, Laura. If you chew on that, you're certainly going to break your jaw and your teeth. So, today I want to talk about generating elevated emotions. And Carrie Ann, you asked a brilliant question, and this is something which I should have talked about once a week for the last 2 years, but it just never occurred to me, despite the fact that I struggled with this so much for so long. Julian, good morning, lovely to see you. This is such a difficult thing. And the question really was, look, I'm starting my journey with Joe Dispenza's work, and a lot of us here are dancing with this work one way or another. I am all in, because it's the only thing that's ever really worked to transform me. It's just been amazing and continues to be amazing. And others are going, oh, really? Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to read some books and I'm going to try this out, and, and that's great. But one of the key things that you do, if you are doing this work of transformation, and if you want to create yourself not using three-dimensional things, I've got to go buy the house and it's going to take me 25 years to pay it off, and we can all predict how that's going to work out and how long it's going to take and how much hard work's going to be involved. And there's work involved in creating things in the 5D way too. But the work isn't about walking your body through space and doing the work and earning the money and everything else. The work isn't changing yourself. And in changing yourself, you have to change how you think, and you've also got to change how you feel. And therein lies the rub. Because if you want to create a future where you feel unlimited, or where you have enough money, right? This was my big story. I just want to be able to have enough money to be financially free enough to live and pay the bills and, do what I love. It was quite a small dream, really. But it was just way out of reach. And that was the first thing, was way out of reach, because I wasn't that person. I was over here and looking at that person over there and thinking, well, I can't see how I'm going to get there, right? It wasn't even a case of buy a house and pay off the mortgage over 25 years. It was just, I see that and I can see no way to get from where I am to there. And what I understand now is that I don't need to see where it is or how it's going to happen or anything. I do need to know how I'm going to feel when I get there. Because the feeling of the future that I desire is kind of like the pin in the map. It really is. And the details, for me, came later. And in fact, they're still really coming because, what I said about being financially free and being able to do whatever it was, I have tried for so long to actually say, well, this is how I want my future to be. And I've never been able to land anything really inside myself. And what I realise now, because I have changed so much, is that probably over the holiday break when I have a lot of space, I'm really going to sit down, stand up, walk around, think on my feet, and design a new future. And the reason why I'm beginning to feel like that's coming to me, like what it might feel like and look like and taste like and smell like now, is because I've dumped enough of who I was when I was thinking it looks like this, to realise that everything that I could imagine back then was completely not right, because I just had no idea how it might look. So I've kind of been in the void in terms of vision in some ways for a very long time. How is this relevant to generating positive emotions? The point being that I have been generating the emotions of that future for many months now. Not years, because it took me 11 months. Pay attention. It took me 11 months to have my first real experience of joy after starting working with Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. It took me a long time because my heart was slammed shut. And you cannot feel an elevated emotion if your heart is incoherent and closed. Right, and I'm zipping all over the place, all these ideas. So, now that I'm starting to have vague sense of what my future's going to look like, but I have been practicing embodying the feeling for months. So the feeling is like the pin in the map that says to the universe, okay, bring the details here, make it look and feel and taste and smell like this. I've been creating those feelings for a long time. But before I could even feel those feelings, I couldn't feel those feelings. I didn't know what they were. And so, and I did the work practicing elevated emotions. It's like, well, it all kind of feels the same. And in a way it does, because if you're happy, you feel joyful. And if you're joyful, you feel free. And if you feel free, you probably feel a lot of love. And, round and round it goes. But it was just like, it was a great idea. But no, not 11 minutes, Laura. Believe me, not 11 minutes. I really, and it took the pandemic and Joe Dispenza's gift meditation, Go Love 20, for me to very reluctantly and, painfully start to open my heart. That little 20-minute meditation, 15-minute meditation, allowed me to change my life when nothing else did. Go figure. So, to generate emotions when you don't know what they feel like is the core question. And I'm just going a little bit beyond that and saying, if you don't know what your future looks, feels, tastes and smells like, it's fine. Don't sweat about it. Understand that you don't need to. I lost so much, whatever, not having a problem with not knowing how it's going to happen. Forget about that. What you've got to understand is that your present reality you are generating through your habitual thoughts and feelings. Period. That's what, I talk about that a lot, so I'm not going to explain that today. So to generate a new emotion that you've never generated before, and I use this word generate a lot because that's what it is. We are used to, I went shopping and I got a pretty new thing and I feel good about it, but then the pretty new thing is just, I've got that now, and then the feeling goes away. because it's an external stimulus that generates an internal response, and that's great. But then the next time you want to get that same buzz of buying something pretty and new, you generally have to spend more. You know, it's just like a heroin addict. The first hit's great, and after that you have to keep upping the ante to have the chemical reaction. Same thing. You have to keep upping the ante to have the same reaction inside yourself. And if it's totally foreign, you are doing it right, yeah, because you're not doing the same old, and expecting a different outcome. You've got to do something different. So, and I listened to Joe answer this question a couple of months ago, because there's a monthly tally class that he does. It's $9.99, which has turned out to be really worth spending. And he every other month he does a lecture and then answers a few questions, and the other month he just does a whole hour of Q&A. Hey, it's great to see you. And somebody asked exactly this question. You know, I'm doing my meditations. I just can't feel these elevated emotions. And he reels off a whole lot of ideas. But at the end of it, he says, look, if you can't feel love, go and love on someone. Just go and give something to somebody. Because when you truly give, and I don't mean go and, you know, spend your life and your energy and exhaust yourself and give money you don't have to people to feel good. No, that's called I'm a martyr and I'm going to feel good because I can suffer better than you can, right? No. When you truly give to somebody, you are going to feel good. So if you want to feel loved, go and find somebody that would really, you know, appreciate feeling loved. Maybe somebody in an old person's home that doesn't get visited much. You know, go and find somebody and help them feel better about themselves. If you're exhausted, honey, well, you've got to look after you, right? Believe me, that's my top priority, is looking after me. Because then I can look after you, right? So this is not to exhaust you, just to borrow your word, Faye. The idea is to find somebody and give them what you desire. Because when you genuinely do that, not because you're thinking, oh, if I give them enough of this, then I'm going to feel different. No. When you genuinely open your heart, when you genuinely love someone, you can't help but feel love yourself. And here's another example, another practical example. In Joe's advanced workshops, and, you know, I'm still thinking, well, it'd be amazing to go to one of those. Towards the end of the workshop, they do these things called coherence healings. And, you know, they have people with really serious health conditions, things that just nothing fixes, you know, and they at the beginning of the workshop, they apply, you know, I'd like a coherence healing. And amazing shit happens in coherence healings. People get healed. Nobody touches anybody. But everybody is going through this process of raising their energy and elevating their energy. And groups of 6 to 8 people, they form what's called a cage around each person that's lying on the floor. And then they do this thing to raise their energy, and they make their energy very coherent. And there comes a point when they focus on their hands, and there comes a point where they turn their hands this way, and they're just focusing on pouring love into that person that's on the floor, who may be just lying there soaking it all up, or their body may be convulsing and crazy shit happens. It's amazing. If you watch the testimonial reel of Joe Dispenza's students and people who've healed themselves, it's incredible what happens in those healing experiences. It's very wide range, but crazy shit happens. The point being that heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of people get healed when they're doing the healing. Now, why is that? Because they've elevated their energy, and yeah, there's support. It's always easier to do it in community, right? But they've elevated their energy, and they're just giving. They're not thinking about themselves anymore. They're just in a state of connecting and letting it flow through them. And while they're busy doing that and not paying attention to the fact that whatever is going on, stuff changes. They get up after, it's like, oh, hang on a minute. That pain was gone, or whatever. And I mean, sometimes they really, really know. It's like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be healing this person, and I'm flying apart because all this energy's flying through me. But this is the point I want to make, that if you don't know what it feels like to be truly and deeply loved, find someone or something that you can truly and deeply love. Now, that might be a pet, because pets are generally safer than people, right? People can be painful. So you've always got to do this in a way that is appropriate for you. And some of you will remember back in, when the pandemic had just started and I discovered, Joe did this meditation and he put it out and I sort of went, oh God, no, I can't do that. Because, you're supposed to open your heart to somebody, you're supposed to tell them about it and say, hey, would you like to pass this on? Let's have a positive virus instead of a negative one. That's why it's called Go Love 20. Instead of COVID-19, Go Love 20. I couldn't face it. But then a few weeks later, he brought out the mutation, it was called You Inspire Me. And I started with that one. It was lovely. And then I thought, I really need to face this in myself. So I went back to Go Love 20. And, and there was only one person that I could face in a meditation, not in person. There was only one person that I could actually face, even opening my heart to, in the energy. Because it was so risky. It was so painful. It was so hard. So I did that, and cried buckets of tears and all that stuff, and I did it, 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 and I did it until it got easier. And then I chose some more difficult people that I needed to open my heart. And I didn't tell anybody anything, right? I didn't follow the formula at all in that regard. But I just did it because I knew I needed to do it. And there came a point in my meditation practice where I just started feeling joy. It's like, oh, that's what joy feels like. Wow. And of course all my other emotions just vanished. True, they did. There was a day or so where it was like, oh, I'm in this great blank spot now. Can't feel a thing. But I remember what joy feels like, and I can bring it up if I want to. That's different. So, and then of course, I've been firing and wiring that and practicing that and developing that as a skill. Feeling positive emotions is a skill. We think that it's something that happens because something wonderful happens to you. Yeah, when something wonderful happens to you, you feel amazing. But then when that event is over, well, how do you get to keep feeling amazing? Well, it turns out it's a skill. And we're just so wired and hypnotized to thinking that we can only feel fantastic when something amazing happens in our lives. We don't realize that's a lie. It's not true. So find something, someone to love on and genuinely love on it. And realize that you might come up against some pain. Because as your heart opens, the stuff that made it slam shut is going to move. And that's okay. Yeah, you actually do have to empty the bucket to make room for joy. And the other thing, I'm glad I remembered this, the other thing is, notice it took me some time. It did take me some time. So back off and relax and be kind to yourself. Because if you have not known how to feel love or joy or freedom or peace or safe, for crying out loud, or, whatever it is, for however long, and you think, okay, I want to learn how to do this, it might take you some time. And if it takes you more than a few weeks and a few months, then don't think, oh, well, this doesn't work. Realize that your mind, your brain, I beg your pardon, and your body, remember, there's a lot of hardware in there about feeling sad or disempowered or resentful or angry or whatever it is you're doing, or shamed or guilty, which you literally have to prune away and make new circuits in your brain about feeling good. And your body is conditioned to those hormones of stress and feeling lousy and guilty and shameful and angry and resentful. Your body is conditioned to it as well. It's like you've been painting the house blue for the last 25 years and now you want to paint it green. Well, that's great, but understand you've got to scrape off the old paint, you've got to prepare the surface, you've got to decide if you're going to take it all the way back to the wood and apply new primer. Or, there's all this work to do to literally change the hardware in your brain and also get your body accustomed to that new chemistry. And guess what? It even feels weird. As lovely as it is, I open my eyes sometimes and think, oh shit, what's changed? And I know something's changed. Sometimes I really know something's changed. And it's still like, this is unfamiliar. My body wants to go back to feeling how it knows how to feel, because it says that's safe. I know what that is. And in my awareness, I know that I'm releasing physical blocks in my body that I've had my entire life. Might as well be. Because they've always been jammed. always, always, always been like this. And suddenly it's not always, always like this. And my body's saying, hang on, there's something wrong. You know, that thing I've been leaning on for the last 50 years isn't there anymore. Whoa, get it back. And it's like, no. So understand it's a process, and you actually got to get to know the person that you want to be in your future. That's what I've been doing for a long time now in my meditations. And why do I rave about these meditations? Because the meditation allows me to shut off who I'm used to being. My brain knows who I am, my identity self. It's all there in the hardware in my brain that is firing and awake when I am awake. When I close my eyes, I slow my brain waves down. My analytical conscious mind goes to sleep. And so does my body if I do it really right. And then I'm just awareness. And in that space, I can decide who I am. And I can give new signals to my autonomic nervous system and reprogram my body. And that is what's happening one way and another. So that's the journey that we're on. And it does take time. And you just got to remember how long the other program's been running and realize it's okay if it takes a while not to give up on the vision that you have for your future. It's to realize you've got to build it. And you're doing it consciously, instead of having it unconsciously kind of imposed upon yourself, and then it just becomes this habitual way that you think you are, which you're not. You're just really used to it, that's all. So I'd love to know what questions you have. Hi Mike, great to see you, honey. I'd love to know what you think about this, what barriers you come up against, because it's a great topic. It's like, why have I never spoken about this before? I will be back tomorrow with more, but 3.5 hours from now, I'm going to be giving you an update on what our beautiful Sang Marie is doing in the Gambia. And I'd love you to join us if you happen to be on, because it's always exciting being part of a miracle. Thanks so much for being part of my morning. Big love. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.